chop it up, chop. We got some things we could talk about. Chop it up, chop it, chop it, chop it up, chop it up, chop it. We got some things we could talk about. Come to the show, we about to chop it up. Come to the show, we got some things we could talk about. Come to the show, we about to chop it up. Come to the show, we got some things we could talk about. Chop it up, chop it, chop it, chop it, chop it up, chop it. We got some things we could talk about. Chop it up, chop it, chop it, chop it up, chop it up, chop it. We got some things we could talk about.
Good evening and welcome to the Chop Shop. I'm your host, Pastor Marvin McKenstry Jr. Is always blessed and privileged that God allows us to come to you to have these real conversations about the Baltimore that we love, our city, your city, my city. You know how the commercial goes. We are excited tonight because we have a great conversation planned with a man who has always been about making moves in Baltimore beyond the four walls of the church, and to some considered a controversial figure at times. We have the one and only Reverend Dr. Al Hathaway with us, and we're excited to get to that conversation. But before we do, as always, I got to welcome to the stage the best producer in all of podcasting. He is on the ones and twos. I said the wheels are still next week, and you know it ain't no substitute. Got to be the Technique 1200s. The one and only Mr. Shaka Fitz. What's up, bro? Gotta be the 1200s. You can't do it no other way. If you ain't got the 12s, you bluffing. We need y'all to like, love, and share this broadcast. Man, it's been a lot going on in this past week, man. But our mayor, Brandon Scott, went down to the White House yesterday to sit down with the President of the United States to discuss gun violence. And one of the focal points of the conversation was guns that have been captured or been recovered here by the police department and how many of them are registered out of state to other gun owners. Now, you know, I feel some type of way about this because I am a registered gun owner, legal gun owner, wear and carry type of gun owner, and I certify people who want to legally own guns. The part that concerns me is where they're talking about the idea that legal gun ownership is leading to the guns that we're finding in our street, which would only mean stiffer restrictions for people who want to do it the right way. Shaka, I'm going to let you know right now, I ain't with it. I think any law-abiding citizen that desires to be a gun owner should be able to be a gun owner, and I think the law is already too tough the way it is.
Well, Marv, let me tell you, the laws, to be honest, were cool a long time ago. All right, so a lot of the adjustments are for us, brother. Let's come on, let's talk about it. A lot of those adjustments will affect people of color more than they'll affect other people. Just like all the other stuff, you know. So I don't know, Marv. I'm with you. You know, I'm one of those. You know, I'm gonna be liberal today, and tomorrow I'm conservative. And, you know,
I'm all of it, man. Because I'm gonna go with the truth.
Yeah.
You can't be boxed in when you go with the truth. But I tell you what, though, Giovanni Patterson, we had him on a couple of weeks ago, former candidate for president of city council. He did an interview on TV yesterday, and he talked about what I believe also is true. If you legalize more law-abiding citizens to be able to carry guns, it'll defer some of the crime that's happening from the illegal guns. I'm going to tell you right now, everybody with good sense in Baltimore ain't going to mess with me because people already know what's up when you see me.
Listen, it's one of those, Marv, where it'll be less random things or less, I think, victims of opportunity, and it'll be more, the violence will be more, I think, streamlined, if so, to active participants or gripes or beefs, but it won't be someone running up on Shaka Pitts just to run up on Shaka Pitts because they may not know. They may not know if so. Anything else is like say it'll be something like I just want to go get him, and because we got a problem, which is a whole different thing versus just running up on a regular.
Have the conversation around public safety. It can go a little something like this. If you see smoke coming from my house, who do you call?
Call the fire department.
Right. If you see the alarm going off at my house and it looked like somebody broke in, who do you call?
Call them 12.
No, you call the ambulance. They done broke in the wrong spot. Listen, you ain't got to worry about call. You come up in here, and you ain't got to worry about calling the 12.
You shorten the trip up for him, huh? You shorten that trip up.
Man, listen, I'm trying to tell you. People that learned the hard lesson, man, and if they ain't learned, they gonna learn today.
Well, I'm gonna say this, Marv. Again, deterrence is a real thing, and we can't get away from that. Deterrence is a real thing, and from someone who's been out there, and Marv, you've been out there. We make decisions. You definitely pick and choose when that opportunity is there. You pick and
absolutely,
choose.
Absolutely.
So if you really don't know if that math has changed, Marv, right? If that math has changed, where the wolf and the sheep is I don't know who's the wolf. I don't know who's the sheep. I don't know if it's sheep with teeth. I don't know. So I'm gonna just go leave this thing alone. That's the real narrative, Marv.
It's the realest narrative, because until you don't put no guesswork in it, they gonna feel comfortable to do that. But you never gonna feel comfortable over here. But we talking too much, man. Let's keep this thing moving. I need y'all to like, love, and share this broadcast, because it's going to be a great conversation. And before we get to the conversation, we got some preliminaries tonight. As always, we start off with the Stop the Beef Hotline. Stop the Beef Hotline. There's amazing work that's happening in Baltimore around violence intervention. And you may be listening to the people that's talking about the fact that we look like we on pace for 300 murders again. I know that's real, because we are on pace for 300 murders again. But what you don't know is about how many lives have been saved. There's been a thread going on in my phone since yesterday about safe housing for a brother who's in one of those situations. We need you guys to make sure that if you find somebody that's in that type of a situation, you have them dial 443-431-3705 or 443-522-7848. Because they are brothers that are always on those lines 24/7, and without any police involvement, we'll do everything from a mediation all the way up and through putting money together to get people out of here that need to get out of here so that they can live and be safe, man. We need y'all to really, really, really help. Call on their behalf if need be. The Baltimore Peace Agreement, 10-point plan here in Baltimore, that's been going on for a little while. We previewed it at the Martin Luther King Day celebration. We had brothers that are in the mix, in the street organizations, in the drug game, come up, meet us there, and sign off on this peace agreement. And essentially what it says is, even if I got to eat in the street, I ain't got to die in the street. I don't advocate for drug dealing or anything else, but until I can get with them to get them a job, I can't tell them how. I can't tell them to starve. But what we are advocating for is that in the mix or in the process, nobody have to die. So we need y'all to start pushing this. There's a community graduation celebration going to be happening down Westside Shopping Center, and it's going to be on Saturday, June the 26th at 12 noon. There's going to be a community engagement walk like we always do. And then at 2 p.m., the graduation celebration right out there is going to begin. I'll be just coming back down from Delaware. I got to go up there to tape a show. They're going to be talking to me about some stuff. And when I come back down the road, I'm going to be going straight to Westside Shopping Center in the parking lot of the KFC to be a part of this amazing celebration. So many of our young people didn't get a chance to do celebrations and things of that nature, so we're going to bring it to the hood where it belongs. All right, I think we got there we go. Listen, y'all know I've been pastoring now a little more than 2 years, and we are coming together. I know it says pastoral anniversary, but it's a time of encouragement for the young pastor. So if you want to come, you can be in the house and join us. My good friend, Bishop Dr. Kevin Daniels, is going to be bringing the word of encouragement, and I got a bunch of my friends that's going to be coming through. Pastor Antoine Burton, Pastor Clay Burston, Bishop Brian Martin. All of my friends are coming out to encourage the young pastor. Seeing your face in the place will do just that. I ain't done nothing if you ask me to celebrate, but God knows after trying to build and pastor through a pandemic, the words and the showing of your presence for encouragement is much appreciated. All right, we got one more thing, and that is our Black History in the Making. And tonight we are talking about a living legend, Mr. No Hooks Before Books. After school program, been going on for 20 or so years. The one and only Marvin McDowell. One of my coaches when I was young, great friend, used to be my barber, just an all-around mentor, still doing great work on North Avenue, right at Druid Hill. They're in Umar Boxing Gym, giving direction. I had the honor and privilege to step up and try to say some things to make sense of the life of the great Coach Dennis. Coach D, as y'all know, many know him as, and man, it was just an honor and a privilege for me to be able to have the honor to do that. I try to do his life some justice, and Shaka came down to me just being able to say thank you. So I want to say to this great man who is still a big brother and mentor in my life, thank you for all the great work that you continue to do. Coach Marvin, we're going to need to get you on here. Maybe we should have did a live one tonight where we were able to tell you, thank you for all the great work that you're doing, man, and continue to do. We salute you. If you got boys that you want to learn some discipline and something to do with their good energy, take them down to Umar Boxing Gym, man, and they will be loved, mentored, educated, and no hooks are thrown before the books are hit. So we thank you for all that you do, Coach Marvin. Continue the great work that you're doing. With that being said,
Marv, I want to add to that also, just to add to what this black man is doing. He also provides that space for yoga, because that's where I do my yoga every Sunday, or before pre-pandemic. So he provides a space for the yoga community to come in there and fellowship and gather and do what they need to do, or what we need to do. And it's just a lovely thing. So big up to that brother.
Community guy, man. Yeah, that's Baltimore's gym right there. You know, some gyms then got exclusive and all that, but not Umar. My grandmother just pushed up on me, y'all. She heard me say I was going to Delaware. She came walking in, ain't care nothing about the broadcast. Shaka say,
"You never do.
You going to Delaware?"
She never cared, Marv. She never cared.
I had to mute myself and everything. Listen, y'all, it's about to get real, bro. We'll share the other thing for the back end that we want to talk about. We talked about talking about, but tonight we have great man of God, man about Baltimore, who is with us and agreed without hesitation when I asked him to come on. I've had the privilege to work with him on different projects and at many different levels. He loves Baltimore. I told y'all the one thing, we can differ politically, we can differ in many different ways, but the people that you see here love Baltimore, whether you disagree with them or politically or otherwise. He is a man that loves Baltimore. He is a great pastor for a little while longer of Union Baptist Church of Baltimore. If you ever pay attention, somebody do something great in the world, somebody's in the news, somebody's birthday come up, celebrity, whatever, he got a picture with him. He got selfies with everybody. I'm talking about the one and only Reverend Dr. Al Hathaway. Doc, thank you for joining us tonight.
Man,
how you feeling, man?
Man, Mom, it's so good to be with you, man. You got the energy I need, man. I got to drink Geritol, man, to keep up with you.
Man, I'm trying to. We just want to. Our goal is to bring the relevant voices, and people always talk about because you was one of the ones. People, why you talking to them? We talk to the people that talk to us, and the people that are making news and making moves in Baltimore. So if you got somebody better we should talk to, then sign them up. But right now we are talking to the one and only Reverend Dr. Al Hathaway. Dr. Hathaway, thank you, man. Give us a little bit, because I had the privilege of being able to sit with you one day, and you took me all the way back to City High School. It wasn't the city?
That's right. That's right.
It took me all the way back to City High School, and some of the great people like you and Kim Thompson and all those guys. Man, Baltimore, a lot of the giants in Baltimore were raised right up in that Baltimore public school system that we now think ain't worth 10 cents. Talk to us about it. How did we get here?
Yeah, you know, when you think about it, I was blessed to come up at a time in Baltimore City when our public school system was a stellar system. Then we had elementary schools, then we went to junior highs, and then we went to high school. So that the whole movement was that you were preparing yourself in some way for a career. So just think about it. I'm going through school, man. We had all of the disciplines, recreation. We had home economics. We had industrial arts, as well as all of the subject matter related to any kind of academic curriculum. So that was all of my education. But just think about this. My 5th grade teacher is still my friend. So the interaction between student and teacher was an exchange of learning. And when you think about learning, learning goes through phases. So now the student becomes the teacher. My fifth grade teacher is at Macedonia Baptist Church, is one of the deacons there. And so just think about this kind of amazing system. Now think about my sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade, ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th grade classmate was the late Congressman Elijah Cummings. So on one side of me, I got Elijah Cummings. On the other side of me, I had Ed Kane that wrote, Gregory Kane that wrote for the News American. I mean, so I had an ultra conservative on one side, and then I had an ultra progressive on the other side. And we all recognize that learning. My social studies teacher was a gentleman named Dr. Samuel L. Banks. Dr. Samuel L. Banks was not only my teacher in seventh grade through ninth grade, he went along with us to City College. And then there he was with us from 10th grade through 12th grade. So had an amazing impact. We knew who we were.
Man, that's an amazing testimony. I was one of the last junior high school classes here as I went to Diggs Johnson Junior High before the middle school system was implemented. So
check that name. They have eliminated that name from the public schools. And when you think about Diggs and when you think about Johnson, you're talking about Reverend Dr. Harvey Johnson, who was the fifth pastor of Union Baptist Church.
Wow. And I didn't know that.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
Man,
they have wiped that. So they wiped a little black history from the...
It made the Southwest Academy. So they've been eliminating the names of African-American leaders off of these schools. Andre Alonzo. Man, he wiped out names and just almost like when the Germans went through Egypt and just tried to eliminate history.
Wow. I didn't know that, man. I really, really didn't know that. And now you're going to provoke me to go and do some more studying to bring myself up to speed on a lot of those school names, because they have in their thought process to be progressive done a lot of that.
Oh, yeah. They wiped the names out.
So let's talk about Union Baptist Church. You've been there now for 14 years as the senior pastor.
Yeah.
And now that's ending for you. Let's talk about that.
Well, you know, Union Baptist Church, many people need to realize that it has always been on the cusp of social change in Baltimore City. It's moving into its 169th year, founded in 1852. I'm the 10th pastor in that illustrious year. My predecessor was Reverend Vernon Dobson, who served for 40 years. He served from 1967 to 2007. And before him was Dr. Baxter Matthews, who actually came from Yale University. And he served from 1940 to 1967. But the person who actually shaped the philosophy of ministry of Union Baptist Church was the gentleman I just mentioned, Reverend Dr. Harvey Johnson. And Dr. Harvey Johnson served from 1872 to 1923. So think about that arc in that timeline. And he was on the cutting edge of everything related to social change.
Man, that's awesome. I'm talking about Harvey Johnson, whose name is plastered on a few things around 21217.
Yes, it is. We got
Harvey Johnson Tower and a few other places.
Towers. We did that project. The Harvey Johnson Community Center, many people. That was a recreation center built in 1955. So I mean, it's just we made certain that that name would not die. But I think people need to learn about this amazing person who was a part of Baltimore history.
So I need everybody to like, love, and share this broadcast. We on with the Reverend Dr. Al Hathaway. Even if you got to tag people's names in the comments to get them on, do what you got to do to get them on, because this is a conversation that everybody needs to hear. We came to talk about Act Now Baltimore. And when I looked at the website and looked up the acronym for ACT, it's accountability, credibility,
that's right,
and accountability, credibility,
transparency.
And transparency. Things that many people believe have been lacking in Baltimore governmental systems, in the social justice. I believe in the social change movements. There's a lack of accountability, credibility in a lot of cases, and transparency. So talk to us about Act Now about Baltimore and what brought it about.
Yeah, well, many people don't realize that I came up through I was trained by what people call the Goon Squad. I grew up in Union Baptist Church. I was a warm body when we were walking around picketing Gold Seeker. I was there when the persons when we went to desegregate Gwen Oak Park. I was one of the young persons that got to go into Grinnell Park after it was desegregated in 1963. Now, just think about that. I'm a young child going into Grinnell Park. I'm riding on a merry-go-round. That was an experience that we were not allowed to have. So that is a part of my DNA, that we're always fighting to have a place and to have a role. That merry-go-round that I rode as a child is now on the National Mall. It's on the National Mall there in Washington, D.C., as a testimony to the work of the ministers and clergy in Baltimore City. I then went from that to organizing what we now know as Baltimoreans United in the Leadership Development Build. I was a part of its organizing staff, trained there by the Saul Alinsky Institute, trained in the kind of organizing of faith-based entities. After placing that together, I then went to Southeast Washington and put together a similar coalition there, which was called the Southeast Cluster. Now, I'm older now. And one of the things that I realized was that I had a process by which I could come to understand the dynamics of community organizing, particularly from a faith-based perspective. And I wanted to put in place something before I just retired and played golf, where people could have the opportunity to have that same kind of experience as well. And so therefore we created Act Now. Act Now goal is to have in each of the councilmatic district faith-based hubs. So when you look at our website, there are institutions that have always historically been active, always historically have been contributing and giving. And what we're trying to do is to create a kind of mass where, one, the people have a platform where they can hold their council members, hold others accountable for the services and goods that they need.
So what are some of the things, and we know the history of Baltimore, some of the more recent history, but are there certain things that kind of drove this particular vision that have happened in our recent history that you're willing to talk about?
Yeah. One of the things that I think, if there has been a challenge to the faith community, is that in many ways we have went along to get along, and as a result have kind of given up our responsibility of being a moral compass. But by being a moral compass, we help people by saying, wait a minute, that's not right. Don't do that. That's a real significant role. If you think about my Jewish brothers and sisters, even though they have their community where they say, hey, this is the rules, this is the law. And in many ways, we don't have that in our public arena. So we have many people, unfortunately, that have met serious kinds of challenges because I think the faith community didn't step up to do like what we know in the scripture, where Nathan went to David and said, thou art the man. And I think in many ways, we have to have that kind of mechanism in our city.
So when we talk about having that kind of a mechanism in our city, is it associated with any political entities? Is it completely independent?
It's got to be independent. This is not about politics. This is about moving Baltimore City forward. And you've got to remember, Baltimore City contributed to the country, the faith. I mean, faith, we are the birthplace of faith. When you think in terms of the Roman Catholic experience, we were the first Mother C. When you think about the Methodist experience, we founded Methodism in America at Lovely Lane. And so as a result, this has been the faith center in America. And I think in many ways, we've got to recognize that, and we've got to cause government and others to respect faith institutions as anchor institutions.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I see, and it's kind of one of the things that troubles me, because when I looked around Baltimore from a kid to now, one of the only things that we've ever owned in our community was the Black church, and yet the Black church has not been the active life cell that it could have been to the community. When you say hubs, describe what you mean when you say a hub. Is it one per district? Is it many in each district? And describe what the hubs are designed to do.
I have to, so keep in mind now, what I'm trying to do is to share with the community of faith kind of what I learned at Union Baptist Church. So when you think about Union Baptist Church, you think about a community center. There's a community center where people can come. We took a part of that community center and made that a cyber center. So you can come there now and get access to technology and robotics, all of that happening right there. It's a job center, all that happened right there. Then we built a building for Head Start, where we now are training, and since 1966, we're providing HeartSat services in that community. Then we created, 15 years ago, we created a Healthy Babies program, because we realized that we needed to go a little bit deeper than ages 3 and 4. We needed to go when a baby is being formed. And we want to make certain that we eliminated infant mortality, and we also eliminate low birth weight for families. They came and celebrated that. They just celebrated that in 21217. That's because we created Drew Mondawmin Healthy Families. But then what we realized was that as children were moving through the system and going into public education, by the time they got to the third grade, they were regressing. So we needed to have a system by which we impacted the schools in that community. So then we created in 2008 Promise Heights. I did it, modeled it after my colleague in New York, Jeffrey Kennedy, that had that Promise neighborhoods, and we partnered with University of Maryland School of Social Work. So I was just trying to say a hub has all of these components. As you also know, we partnered with the Baltimore City Public School, Police. We would call in everybody under the jurisdiction of parole and probation in 21217 and bring them into the church and have a come to Jesus moment. But we also would have the services there for them if they wanted to get out the game. So, I mean, that's what a hub is. A hub touches on everybody. It impacts people. It educates children. It protects the seniors. And so the idea is, my idea was, could we model that and replicate that throughout the city?
That's awesome. You're on Live with the Chop Shop. I'm your host, Pastor Marvin McKenstry, and we are talking to the one and only Reverend Dr. Al Hathaway. Dr. Hathaway, 21217. 21217, if never before, post Freddie Gray has literally become, I would say, the monument in Baltimore for where change is needed. And 5, maybe 6 years later now, we still don't see it as a model for change. Yeah. Talk to us about the 21217, what it's like to be there, have been there, to see so many of the transitions, and where you feel as though the 217 is now.
You know, the sad thing is to understand that 21217 was the historic power base for the African American community in Baltimore City. I mean, realize that was the power. Exactly, that was the power base. It was one of the largest historic African American districts in the country. It was the power base, but that power base was always under constant attack. The first attack was that they wiped out a whole neighborhood and created State Center. Then they came back and then they wiped out the rest of the neighborhood and put in McCullough Homes, Gilmore Homes. This was a vibrant community of homeowners, and they wiped it out. And then if that wasn't enough, they come in and they run a highway to nowhere and wipe out more of the community. So this community has always been under constant attack. If you understand anything about it, this was the community that launched Perrin Mitchell, that we had our city council seat. And to think that in that city council seat, it's represented by someone from New York, who I have no problem with that person, but that's not what 21217 was. It was our power base. It was the power base that determined the destiny of Baltimore City. And so when
how did we get away from that though? How did we get away from it?
You got to understand. We have census, and when you have census, what the census does is that it determines the political boundaries. So they've been chipping at the political boundary because we've been losing population in Baltimore City. So it really diluted the power of 21217 because now it's split. You're in a central district, you're in this, you're in 42, you're in 40, and gotten so far now that they've got a county senator representing 21217. This is okay. I like Senator Sidnor, but that never was. We don't have our own senator. We only have one delegate, and so we've got to recognize that we have been under political attack by forces not in the city, forces outside of the city.
Who are the gatekeepers that allowed this to happen, though? Because I hear what you're saying about the forces coming from the outside, but whose responsibility should it have been to protect the community, especially in these political interests, and failed at their job? Because literally there should have been somebody lobbying or protesting against this kind of change.
You can almost point to the change and the shift in 21217 with the aging of Mr. Willie Adams. As Mr. Willie Adams aged, and as he eventually transitioned, you saw us waning because he was the hub of that community. we didn't have to go to other people to get finance for our political campaigns. We were able to get finance through the mechanism of Mr. Adams. And that's what held our power base together, was that we didn't have to ask anybody for anything. But now, because of how it's been dispersed, now we've got to go and be beholden with hat in hand to other people to get our resources to run our campaigns.
We found out in 21217, around about the time of Freddie Gray, that at the time there were like 77 registered nonprofits and 127 registered neighborhood associations. And in doing the research to try to hunt a lot of this down, a lot of it appeared to be ghost entities. And I spoke to one young lady who didn't even so much as have a house or apartment in the district. She had a registered nonprofit in the district, and she said that she worked out of her car.
My goodness. You know, it's unfortunate that we haven't created the superstructures that basically are intermediaries for all of us. And we're starting to get to that. I'm starting to like the work of what I'm seeing with Druid Heights. I'm liking to start the work that's happening with Upton. I'm liking the work that I'm seeing with the Pennsylvania Avenue Arts District. We're starting to move that way. I had a conversation with Antonio Hayes. He's looking for some kind of development authority for North Avenue. I mean, I'm seeing the positive signs of things going in a positive direction. But I think right now that we have to recognize that together is better. You know, I mean, we've got to create the back room where we get in the back room and we then negotiate, we deliberate, we argue, we fuss, we fight. And then when we come out with a common agenda. And that's what we need in our city, and particularly in 21217.
So the conversation that I've had with some people is as it pertains to Act Now, you know, did we need something new? Because something new seems to further divide, because there were people here who were already doing a lot of that work. What do you say to folks that says creating something new pulls another group of clergy away, and as opposed to uniting, it divides?
Well, I would say that our first mantra is to collaborate. And I'll give you an example of that. The state called and asked would we model what would be pop-up vaccine clinics in churches. And we modeled that. Guardian Angel, New Shiloh. We went to a Union Baptist Church, bilingual, and we modeled that. And then that model spread. This is something to work with. Our first mantra is to collaborate. And so we're not here to be one group over the other. I hope that is not what's being communicated. But what we are saying is that we have to be very, very aggressive and intentional. I mean, I've been blessed, man, to have a unique kind of access in this community. I think I didn't want to leave this worth not sharing that with others. Let me give you an example. I was a part of running the protests around redlining 35 years ago that created Harbor Bank. So how do we take protests and create institutions? I've been a part of that. So I want to share that with my colleagues and in this generation that I'm so excited and proud of.
So when we talk about that, again, we had the folks that literally says, are we trying to reinvent the wheel? And some people say, well, let's talk about that reinvent the wheel kind of mentality. What do you say to folks that say, Al, you reinventing the wheel?
Well, you know, keep in mind now, you know, I'm an old man now, right? So I'm an old man. I turned 70 in April of this year. And so was it reinventing the wheel when we created a diversion program in the state's attorney's office, and we were able, under Milton Allen, were able to redirect the lives of 900 people? Was it reinventing the wheel when we created Bill some 40 years ago and created a mechanism and a power base? No, I mean, it's always been. You've got McDonald's, you've got Wendy's, you've got Checkers. I mean, why do we have to have one menu when in the other communities they have multiple menus? But what they do is they understand how to coalesce and come together.
So there's some of my people in the comments that were asking, is this an ecumenical movement? Is it just Christian? Is it open to other faith leaders?
It's open to other faith leaders. It is ecumenical. We have representation from many of the faith communities as a part of it now, and it's emerging. I mean, what I would hope, this is what I would hope. I would hope that as Act Now evolves, it becomes a platform for citizens and people in this community to be able to get expression, be able to get redress. I had a young lady call me up. I'll never forget, Miss, well, I can't think of her last name right now, but she was a quadriplegic, laying in her bed, called her city council person. I got a $3,000 water bill. Called the city council person. The city council person said, there's nothing I could do. Called the water department. The water department said, hey, I'll give you a payment plan. She said, wait a minute, I can't handle the payment plan. She called me. I said, hey, are you willing to talk to a colleague from media? Went to talk to that colleague from media. On Monday, when the story was told, people looked at it, and on Tuesday, an anonymous donor paid the $3,000 bill. So that's what we have to do. How do we serve? There's many different ways to serve, but the fundamental thing is to serve people.
When you talk about the media, I got to bring it up. Somebody actually sent this as a potential question about you being one of those chosen voices now for what many Baltimoreans see as the evil empire. I think Fox, they coming to you when they need a voice to speak truth to power or to speak on the topics. How did that relationship come about? Because it looks like you're one of the people that they seek out. And why would you say, if in your own view, why are you one of those people that they come to?
Well, I'll be very honest. And I mean, if the idea is being honest and transparent, it is to be that. I sued WBAL in the 80s. I sued when Jack Brochamps was there. I sued them. And what was the outcome of that suit? The outcome of that suit was we got Stan Stovall as an anchor. We got Dwayne Wickham with a show, Black Horizons. We got persons now becoming tech. Because I've always been in media. I've always understood it. I've always recognized it. But as I said to you, I came through, I believe, one of the greatest cohorts of students from Baltimore City College. I was there from 1966 to 1969. Who are my classmates? One of my classmates is, as I mentioned, Elijah Cummings. Another of my classmate is Ken Thompson, who's now on the consent decree. Another of mine is Joe Haskins at Harbor Bank. But also in that class was David Smith, who owns Sinclair Broadcasting. So that relationship is 50 years old. And so I argue with him. I fuss with him. But I also recognize that 50 years ago, that one station now has become one of the largest platforms in our city. And how do we use it? I think that's a question. So once somebody say, hey, I think there's many different ways. I think I've tried to be honest and forthright in anything that I've said publicly. But not only has it been 45, 13 has covered me, 11 has covered me, 2 has covered me. But you're right, there seems to be a unique opportunity now where I have to be careful when I say something. There's a camera or microphone in front of my mouth.
You're live with the Chop Shop. We talking to the one and only Reverend Dr. Al Hathaway. Dr. Hathaway, we got about 7 minutes left. I want you to tell the people anything that you would want them to know about Act Now, what they need to know, what they need to be doing concerning Act Now. Go on and talk to the people about Act Now Baltimore.
This is what I would say to you. Act Now has 3 basic premises. The first is to collaborate. And we collaborate with Baltimore City Public Schools. We raised the issue. We raised the issue about summer learning loss. But now we've created a curriculum where we're working with them around how to address summer learning loss. With the health department, we say, okay, we need to be prepared for COVID, but we're working now for what's going to happen post-COVID. How are we going to make certain that we have the kind of health care in our community post that? But then when you think about other areas, we're saying, hey, let's collaborate. We want to make certain that our council members, we've got 5 new council members of the 14. How can we help them become more effective in serving their community? So we want to work with them and interact with them. We're going to lift up topics. We got coming in July the 26th. We're going to have a whole topic around crime, but also around solutions. It's going to be a live town hall. How do we make certain that the voices at the bottom of the well get heard? And that's one of the things that we try to do, to make certain that we give voice to those that are voiceless, that we make sure we empower those who feel that they are empowered. And we're also here to love. I want you to know that people ask me the question. I'm not a single issue person. I'm multidimensional. So at the same time that I'm seeking to provide Act Now as a forum for people, I'm also working to renovate the PS 103. PS 103 is the school that Justice Thurgood Marshall attended. It's been vacant for 20 years. It was the place that I learned from Lena Boone about community organizing. And it has been distressful for me that that's been vacant for that long time. So we're amassing the money to restore that. We've gotten the National Park Service to study it, so that it's atrocious that in Baltimore City, we just have one asset of the National Park Service, which is Fort McHenry. I'm saying we should have an asset in the Black community, just like y'all got in that white community. And so we're going to make certain that we have a PS 103 as an asset that for future generations, I'm like Elijah Cummings on a distant star, but there's some empowerment in our community that people can know that it is theirs, it is owned by them, serving them. So yes, I'm very insistent. In my senior years, I get around now, not as fast as I used to. I wish I had the youth of you, but I do have one thing. I have a very fond commitment to our city. I have a love for our people, and I am very insistent that white power will not hide behind some ivory tower without me looking in their eye and saying, "Thus saith the Lord."
So let me ask you this, and I should have asked you a little earlier. We know one of the biggest or one of the more known issues in Baltimore is crime, and specifically the murder rate. Is anything that Act Now doing aiming towards impacting crime, or are we ready to be a voice to say where's the real crime plan? I haven't seen one. I don't know if you've seen one.
Yeah,
but where's the real crime plan?
I think what we have to do is that we have to put together what's called a people's plan. Take what us are doing, take what Safe Streets is doing, take what all of the people that I've been talking to and we've been talking to, and now what we should do, instead of having separate plans, put that together as the people plan. And the people plan then gets synthesized and taken to the police that have a plan. And keep in mind that police plan is a national plan. It comes out of PERF, the Police Education Reform, Research Reform System. Is that a proper fit for Baltimore? No, I think the people can give a plan that has more fit for Baltimore, and then share it with our political leaders to say that we are committed to this. I like what you did with that peace agreement. We need peace agreements all the time. And so we are talking to, as we have, to some of the gang leaders as well, to see if we can negotiate again an update of that peace agreement so that everybody gets bought into it. We've got some dangerous times, and some our streets are not what they should be. But I think we can change it ourselves.
As you're doing that work with the gang members, should we be looking to hear from you at We Are Us so that we can come to the table together? I love what you said in the sense of the people's plan. I think that should just be a thing, not just a talking point. But should we be looking to hear from you and We Are Us to continue to come together on that work?
Yes. In fact, Dr. Bundy reached out to me. I said, let's get together. Bishop Kevitt Elliott, who's a We Are Us board member, is also with Act Now. Yes, we're going to bring it all together. I'm talking to former police officers. I'm talking to kingpins. I'm talking to everybody, just as you are.
Absolutely.
But I'm hearing that everybody is saying, from the suites to the streets, let's address this violent crime in Baltimore City, and let's do it now. So one of the things we're looking at is hopefully July the 14th, we will bring everybody together and say, this is the people's plan. And then we'll follow up on July the 26th with a live town hall where we talk about solutions.
Well, he's been great tonight with us, man. Thank you again for checking in, but we got to let him go a little early tonight. He, as always, has something else that he needs to do, but we want to say thank you, Reverend Dr. Al Hathaway, man. You have been amazing as a guest tonight. Even the tough questions, man, you swallowed them up and regurgitated some great answers. So we're going to be looking forward. Y'all, it's about unity. It sounds like there's some unity that is in this movement. So if you're hearing, or as we would say in church, under the sound of my voice, continue to carry out this call to unify Baltimore, because that's the only way it's going to happen. Thank you, Dr. Al. We will be speaking to you again. I'm going to reach out to you, and we'll get you back on here, and we're going to talk some more about how we make Baltimore better.
Man, I love you, man, and you're the future, man. So stay strong, okay?
Thank you.
Bless you now.
Shaka, come on back on the screen, man. We got the one more thing that we've got to lift up. I'm excited. I'm going to reach out to my brother to see if we can get him on in the very near future. but two of my guys, two Baltimore Giants that are two of the most humble people that I know have come together. And as they say now, they have done a thing. We are talking about Baltimore native and first round draft pick in the NFL, Mr. Aaron Maben, is partnered with my bro, my friend, one of the most humble persons, two-time Super Bowl champion, Torrey Smith, former Baltimore Raven, to create the Level Up Leadership Academy. Man, I am so excited about this. And it's amazing because I've been talking to Torrey as Torrey would walk the streets with us during the We Are Us movement. And we've talked to him about this and to see his vision come to fruition. If we can get that video going, we're going to let you hear some of the report. But I'm just so excited. And I sent the text saying one thing. My text didn't ask for nothing. It didn't ask to be a part of nothing. It said, thank you for loving Baltimore. How can I help or support? Y'all, we have got to get excited that these two young brothers that have those NFL ties and connections have decided to come together and to establish something that will stand in Baltimore. So we're gonna,
as you know,
we're gonna get this audio together, and I'm gonna let y'all hear from Torrey, and then we're gonna come back and talk about it a little more. Let it rip. We're gonna be able to get that up. If not, we can go on and keep talking.
Okay,
we can talk about it, Shaka. I'm cool with it.
It looks like it's buffering, but go ahead and talk about it. Look like it's buffering.
I want to talk to you about it, man. Oh, there he is. All right, y'all. We having some technical difficulty, but again, as I said before, we are talking about two brothers that again had that NFL pedigree. Aaron Maben, Baltimore native, first round. Aaron Maben, Baltimore native, first round draft pick, 8th pick overall, and the one and only number 82, Mr. 9 route, Torrey Smith, coming together.
We were had a field trip, and as you know, I'm used to gathering my.
All right, let's move on from that shot, because what we'll do is I'm gonna send a kite to Torrey and to Aaron and see if we can get either one or both of them on the Chop Shop. They're definitely friends of mine, friends of the show. We can get them on to talk about that great project that they're doing. I don't know, we might can even go on location, interview them, and run our own interview, since that one seems to be acting a little funky. But as I said, Aaron Maben, 8th pick overall in NFL draft, Baltimore native, played for about 6 years in the league, 3 different teams. Now he's known for his activism through his artwork. He's an amazing painter. You can see great murals and things that he's done around Baltimore. Hooking up with Mr. 9 route himself. If you're not a football person, that thing where the coach says just run real fast down the field and nobody could keep up with him. I remember his rookie year. We opened up the season against the Denver Broncos on Monday Night Football, and he ran past Champ Bailey 2 times. You know, Champ Bailey was the corner of all corners, and Torrey dusted him 2 times.
Champ Bailey, like that position, like his name means that position. You know what I mean? Champ Bailey, like he was him.
Yeah, man, he was that. He was Revis before Revis. You know what I'm saying? Before it was a Revis Island, Champ Bailey was that guy. And Torrey torched him twice in that one game, man. Just ran right by him. Torrey loves Baltimore. Torrey has mentored my son while my son was at Dunbar High School through the work that him and his wife Chanel does through the Torrey Smith Family Foundation. Just 2 great guys, man, coming together. They've got one of the rec centers that's been closed for a long time, and they put a leadership academy in there. And as I said to our viewing audience, we are going to reach out to Tori, reach out to Aaron, try to get one or both of them to come on and to talk about it, and maybe even get to go over and get some footage or something, man. I'm so excited about this. And as I said, I reached out to Tori. My only thing that was in my text message was thank you for your commitment to Baltimore. Is there a way that I can help or support? And we want to do that, man, because we have some great programs through athletics that are helping Baltimore. Like our Baltimore Black History in the Making spotlight today. You know, Coach Marvin McDowell, man. I was in the same room with him, Warren Boardley, and a lot of those guys at the same time. Warren Boardley, of course, from the Mr. Mac Lewis Foundation. Just great people here who are using athletics or the platforms that the athletics created for them to be able to do a great work for our young people. So I would encourage you, if you do nothing else, pray for these programs. Pray for them.
Real quick, Sister Eula is in the.
I see her.
So
that's Coach Marvin wife. I remember I hugged her at the funeral. I said, "It's so good to see you."
yeah. Bean Theory, y'all check out her food. Banging.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so this is what we want to do, man. We want to go ahead and say thank you, Mr. Shaka Pitts, for always being the man on the ones and twos, making the magic happen. As we said earlier tonight, Technique 1200s, because nothing else is quality enough for what we're doing here on the Chop Shop. We also want to take time again to thank Reverend Al Hathaway for all of the great work that he's doing. With that being said, before we go to our last thank you, we have a great show. We have a great show coming up this week. As we see the world shifting out of the COVID-19 space, we talk a lot about politics and a lot of other things here, but we cannot ignore, me especially as a man of God, the spiritual implications as God's people are moving out of COVID. And we know COVID ain't over, but the world is opening back up, and we're going to be here having a faith-forward conversation with two giants in the faith community here. We're going to be talking to Dr. Kevin Daniels, who is the pastor of St. Martin's Church of Christ, very prophetic man of God. And we're going to be talking to my friend and my brother, Minister Carlos Muhammad of Muslim Mosque number 6. That's right, y'all. We are going to have two powerful voices, not just in the faith community, but in the Black community, who are going to come on next Thursday and give us a conversation that's surrounding the wisdom of God concerning how we as a people move forward coming out of this pandemic. That's right, I said it. The pandemic. I hope you had a plan, or you discovered a plan, implemented the plan, so that you coming out of this space better than you were when you went into it. I hope that you understand that the pandemic, that man-created space, is one of those things where we say man may have meant it for evil, but God sure turned it around for so many for their good. Lastly, I want to thank my audience. I always say, if a tree falls in the woods and nobody's around to hear it, does it make a sound? Of course it does. Of course it does, but there was nobody around to hear it. You show up week after week. You give us somebody to talk to, even as we believe that we're bringing the right voices to the conversation. You come on and affirm it by your presence. So I want to thank, of course, Miss Eula McDowell. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. Thank you so much for being with us, and we're gonna get you on here to talk about that food. We need to start bringing our Black business spotlights back. Shaka, highlighting some Black businesses and the great things that they're doing. Always, Sister Christina Flowers, you'll be becoming one of our regulars, and you're a powerful voice in Baltimore. We're gonna have to get you on here when we're ready to have some of that conversation around our homeless population and the great work that you're doing. One of my godmothers, Miss Brenda Jones, Dr. Rodell Hall, my brother, my nephew, oh boy, my nephew, he always with us too. I'm gonna get to his name. Oh my goodness, I feel embarrassed now. Pull up one of his comments for me, Shaq. Help me out. I don't see none of his comments. Terrell, my nephew, Mr. Terrell Mosley. Forgive me. I love you, man. Forgive me. Mr. Terrell Mosley, my brother.
My man, Nook. What up, Nook?
Yeah. My brother, Louis Hassan Amiz, is tag on there. He tells me, Marvin, stop calling me Outback, but he my bro, and he Outback forever to me. I thank y'all for coming and rocking out with us tonight. As always, continue to faith forward, continue to be strong in your blackness, and continue to love the city of Baltimore. With that being said, it's only one thing left to say. Shaka, take me home.
I can be more. There's nothing that I can't achieve if I just believe. You can be more. You can make every dream a reality. We can be more. Be more, be more.
Yeah.
I can be more.
I wake up every day and try to be more. I pray I be more. It's easy to achieve anything you believe. Like hold your head high. Girl, you got a reason to breathe. I see a rare mind. Boy, you got a reason to dream. Let's take flight. Give the children a reason to see redemption. We grow up in the jacks where it's evil and wicked. Where the people with success don't want to send you a visit. But we still finna make this life worth living. Now throw your hands to the sky if you feel it. Hey, throw your hands to the sky if you the realest. You got a vision. Let's put them pistols away and make sure the OGs keep the community safe. In the world where the ladies crying, the babies dying, I think we can create that space to make a way for the ladies to ride and make baby giants. Be more, believe, let's play. I'm so in love with life.